While many Chicago Bears fans are still reeling for the number of injuries that we suffered throughout training camp so far, the Chicago Bears continue to find gems and undrafted gems at that. Jahdae Walker already proven himself to be a weapon for the Chicago Bears, and his legend keeps growing amongst Bears fans as he keeps putting up really good performances. But there's another one as well. Jayden Loving is starting to make some noise. And while the undrafted defensive tackle is starting to win reps, reportedly he gave Logan Jones all that he could handle in training camp. He's already flashed some as well against Cleveland. And now people are starting to wonder, how many of these defensive linemen can the Chicago Bears actually keep? And how much is the other Bears actually going to improve? We're going to talk a little bit about that, plus him, Jahdae Walker, special teams, and update the Kyle Monangai and 3 Chicago Bears that are prepped for a Pro Bowl season. We're going to talk about all that plus more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today, y'all, and we got to talk about it, man. There have been a number of studs that have continued to stand out for the Chicago Bears in training camp, and one of them has continued to be Jahdae Walker. Jahdae Walker is a guy that's doing it all. And in yesterday's practice, he continued to show up in multiple ways as well. First way that he showed up was on special teams. Mark Carman saw Jahdae Walker already give rookie cornerback Malik Muhammad a complete showcase on the one-on-one drills, which was really good. Greg Braggs went on later to say that he witnessed Walker make potentially the catch of the day, catching a deep ball from Caleb Williams as well out of the sky during the 11-on-11 drills. Nobody should be surprised by it by this point. Jahdae Walker is a player that just continues to turn heads, do the right things, show out when he needs it the most. And when you look at somebody like Jahdae, I say this, like this is a guy that when you look at how he clawed himself up, last year, didn't get a lot of the snaps. And then when we needed him the most, performed extremely well, and it keeps getting there. When you talk about him, his ability to catch passes, play on special teams, his blocking reportedly is taking a step forward as well. He's just been one of the more reliable players for the Chicago Bears throughout this training camp period. And so when you look at it, like Jahdae has done something that people, that you have to respect. Let's just say this, you have to respect. He hasn't done it because of a connection to another coach. He hasn't done it because of the draft position. He's done it through pure working his ass off and coming here and showing out and making the most of the opportunities ahead of him. Yes, even last year, he got opportunities due to injury. You could say that this year his opportunities may be due to Luther Burden getting hurt. But every time you put more on Jahdae Walker, what does he do? He shows up, he shows out, and he refuses to go away. This is the type of thing that training camp is made for. This is the type of story that you want on your team. This is where you find value as well, especially like we talked about. The Bears are about to have a roster that's getting paid like where the Bears are just because of Darnell Wright's extension and the pending Caleb Williams extension. So because of those things, you need to find the most value possible. And Jahdae Walker is one of those guys that's bringing it. He's not just an injury replacement anymore. You can't look at him as that. He has earned a real role in this. And yes, while a veteran like Khalif Raymond is going to be ahead of him in the depth chart, is already ahead of him as well in the unofficial depth chart. The thing that says the most about Jahdae Walker, and the thing that you have to look at is how many more players is he going to make expendable? The Bears may not have to bring back Khalif Raymond at the end of this season going into next year because of what they have in him and Xavier Thomas, right? That's what you have to do there. Finding value at every stop. I know Ryan Poles has garnered a lot of criticism over some of his draft picks, some of his trade targets, all those things over the course of his season, but you cannot take away anything from what he's turning into and how he's doing. And then it's not just that, right? You talk about another standout, yesterday is that the Bears may have found yet another undrafted gem. This time, while everybody's been talking about Jordan Vandenberg and the work that he's done on the defensive line and how he's inserted himself and made himself be a part of the conversation on the defensive line. And shout out to Jordan Vandenberg. We drafted him. He's a guy that has so much potential. And not to take away from that, but there's another guy, right, that you look at it, and that is Jayden Loving. When you look at the Chicago Bears, and this is something before we talk about Jayden Loving, when you look at the number of players that the Chicago Bears have found as undrafted rookies under Ryan Poles, you have Jack Sanborn, you got Tyson Bagent, you got Josh Blackwell, you got Theo Benedet, you got Jahdae Walker, who we just talked about, right? These guys aren't necessarily superstars, right? Some of those guys aren't going to be starters, right? And that's perfectly fine, but it's talent, right? That's incredible value that you found in talent, and that is what you're going to have to continue to do. That is what separates teams that draft really good from teams that are able to have great talent acquisition. And that's the way that we're trending in regards to it right now. Like a number of players that we found. And so when you start doing it that consistently, you can't just throw it at as being lucky, right? Like there's a form of luck that happens with everything. Every NFL team, successful team, every team to a degree has some form of luck when it comes down to it. But when you do it that consistently, you can't just throw it and label it all under luck. And then there's the next guy for that, right? It's Jayden Loving. This is another guy who seems like he is continuing to show out for the Chicago Bears team and winning reps, over Logan Jones, who we already know the hype and the love of where Logan Jones can go as a player, right? Jayden Loving is emerging as the latest player, as an undrafted free agent for the Chicago Bears, that is just putting in work and is just coming out of it looking like a damn good acquisition. This guy already showed some in the preseason game. When we talked about in the preseason game how much better this team looked like, as a defense, continuously getting to the quarterback and stuff like that. When you look at Jayden Loving as well, right? For somebody who only got 17 reps, in that one, he gave a lot of work in that one. So when you look at it right now, right? When you look at where the Bears stand with things right now, Jayden Loving is a guy who's building off of it, his undrafted work, and he continues with the trend that Chicago Bears, Jack Sanborn, because they became a starter at linebacker in 2022, right? He did that as an undrafted free agent. Tyson Bagent emerged as one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league right now, like with the hype around him, even though, he didn't do the greatest in that first preseason game, right? But Jayden Loving is now following the blueprint that the Chicago Bears have laid out basically since Ryan Poles have been here, right? You want to find value where you can at. Then you look at also what Dennis Allen wanted to do for this team. You want to get quicker, you want to get more explosive, you want a better tackling, right? And not to say that he's going to pass up anybody on this depth chart, right? But you have another guy now on top of Vandenberg, on top of Neville Gallimore. We even talked about James Lynch and what he showed in that preseason. Loving is a guy that's also made a name for himself and turned some heads in that first preseason game. And so but he's in a tough situation. I want to be clear, right? The Bears carried only 4 defensive tackles on their roster last season. So when you look at Javon Dexter, Grady Jarrett are going to make it. Neville Gallimore is pretty much solidified his spot. Jordan Vandenberg is going to be there as well, right? So then you still have James Lynch, who's going to be competing as well for a spot. And you have Jayden Loving. So the chances of Jayden Loving being on the practice squad are high. But even if that does happen, even if we don't see him a lot in the regular season, don't forget this kid, because this could be a guy that makes you where you don't have to bring back one of those veterans next year, right? And so continue to find that value, something that stands out. So now Jayden Loving has a chance to continue to make a case for himself as we continue on. You have 2 preseason games left, 2 joint practices. If he keeps making noise over these next 2 weeks, do not be surprised if the Bears try to find room for him on this roster. It's a possibility. Again, it's still a long shot. I'm going to say that, much like with Caden Davis, making the final 53 is still a long shot when you look at the talent and the positions that we have. But Jayden Loving is another guy that continues to show out. He continues to stand out, and you got to give him his credit for what he's turned into. But other guys that stood out in practice yesterday as well, Theo Benedet reportedly had one of his best practices, and we know, Ben Johnson has come out and basically said that the left tackle position is now down to Braxton Jones and Theo Benedet. With Jedrick Wills still in that mix as well. On yesterday's live stream after practice, I called it a Royal Rumble. That's basically what it's turned into, is a Royal Rumble for these, right? But Theo Benedet is a guy that, much like last year, he was in the same position competing for Braxton Jones. And with Braxton Jones out hurt as well, the question is what's going to happen there. Clay Harbor, who watched some of the practices, they said that he had some great, Theo Benedet had some great individual reps against the defensive line, and that he had a really good day overall, but it still seems like a long shot for Theo Benedet to actually win the starting left tackle role. So it seems like it's going to come down to Braxton Jones still, but the Bears aren't willing to call it yet. There's still some time for that competition to go the way that it's going to go, and we're going to see. And another player that also stood out in yesterday's practice was J.P. Richardson. This guy was a guy that was an undrafted free agent in 2025. And that, he had a great run, reportedly in training camp and stuff like that, and that it hasn't been the same kind of level of surprise for him in 2026, but he is still showing up, making big plays for the Chicago Bears, especially with Luther Burden being down, and his ability to work on the special teams as well is another reason why he's standing out for this Bears team and could have a chance to also make the roster as a specialist. But it seems like if he's going to be a Chicago Bear again, it may still have to go through the practice squad, and that just may be the way that it's going to have to happen. But, we'll see. But overall, like, some really good things coming out of it. Right now, the left tackle competition, is Braxton Jones, Jedrick Wills, and Theo Benedet. Theo Benedet staying around. Jahdae Walker continues to show out. Another guy in Jayden Loving showing out at a different position. The Bears got some depth here, man. And while I know there's a lot of concern, rightfully so, from Bears fans over how good this defensive line is going to be able to be, how much we're going to be able to perform there, I do think there's a little bit more talent than people are willing to give it credit for on this Bears team. And we just got to see how they're going to bring it all together and what's going to show out there. But overall, really good practice yesterday. If you want the details, kind of more in-depth on practice, go and look at yesterday's live stream. Or if you're on the podcast side, I did post it as a podcast as well right before this episode. So there you go on that one. We also got an update on Kyle Monangai, officially from Ben Johnson. It doesn't really change what we've known before, that it's a multi-week thing. Ben Johnson flat out just said it is a week-to-week injury right now. That kind of goes in with my theory. Again, not news. This is my personal theory, that they're just sitting him out. He's probably going to be ready to go by the start of the season. Saying week to week does put a little bit of a question mark if he's going to be ready by week one, just a slight one, especially because he got hurt in a non-padded practice. But I think overall, like the Bears don't seem really concerned about it. It even was reported that they still looked at the MRI result as a positive result. So because there's no structural damage to the knee, because it's not anything major or concerning, I think that it just seems, again, my personal opinion is that it seems like they're going to sit him out preseason. He'll be ready to go by week one, and then we won't have very many questions on what our running game is going to look like. So with Ben Johnson providing that, I just wanted to give that personal update in regards to it. And we'll see Kyle Monangai get back on the football field, because a lot of Bears fans want to see Kyle Monangai this season, and Kyle Monangai has been somebody that's definitely proven himself to be a beast and a weapon for this team, and you want those weapons to continue to have a chance to develop. But with that said, I want to end the show talking about this, right? This is a season where a lot of pressure is on a lot of different Chicago Bears players. It just is, right? And when you look at this as well, you have a number of players that are set up to come into this season and make a really big step in their development. So I have 3 Chicago Bears players that I want to talk about, and the chance that they can either make a Pro Bowl or All-Pro team this year. The number one that I want to talk about is Luther Burden. Luther Burden, right? You look at his first 7 games in 2025. He had 13 catches for 171 yards. The final 8 games, 34 catches for 481 yards, right? When you look at the pace that he showed later on, if you look at that pace and project that over 17 games, that's 72 catches for 1,022 yards. And now that DJ Moore is gone, Luther Burden is going to step into that. Now, we know Luther's not 100% healthy right now, but again, it kind of seems like another one of those things where they're just getting ready for the regular season. They don't need to see anything else from Luther Burden. Ben Johnson has been talking glowingly about Luther Burden literally since the offseason period began. We started hearing things a little bit before that, right? So now I think I see the question that you have about Luther Burden and if his ability to make an All-Pro or Pro Bowl team comes this season just via how much of the late game growth from Luther Burden is going to be what he shows over a full 17. Then on top of that, how much more can he grow even further than that? Because from everything that we've heard, he looks primed to make a second-year leap for the Chicago Bears, right? So when you look at the usage that he had later on in his rookie season, that usage may even go up this season from that because of the DJ Moore being gone with this team, right? So it's not hard for a second-year player to have a stronger second year than first year. That's what you want. That's the progression that you want to see from players. And Luther Burden is coming into a situation where that pressure, that rate is all going to be there for him. So I think that Luther Burden is going to be poised for a really big year. And Burden is trying to come out and prove that he's one of the best wide receivers in the game of football. Not just for the Chicago Bears, not just in second year. He wants to be one of the best wide receivers in football. You got a scheme that's going to fit. You got a quarterback that he has amazing chemistry with in Caleb Williams. More on him in a second. And all those things are shaped up to be a breakout year. If you didn't think Luther Burden broke out last year, I don't know how people are going to not think that he broke out this season, because Luther Burden, all things aside, knock on wood so that nothing happens, Luther Burden is going to have an amazing season this year. And he's ready. He looks physically ready. He looks stronger. All those type of things. He's going to be ready to go. The next player that I want to talk about that can have a Pro Bowl or All-Pro season comes down to Caleb Williams. And do I even have to really explain this of what is going to happen? Like the second year under Ben Johnson, many people say his second year under a real, even though he's in his third year, is his second year under a real coach and real offensive coordinator, because Lord knows what we did in Caleb Williams' rookie year with all the different OCs that he had to play with. But when you look at it, right, when you look at from 2024 to 2025, while the percentage did dip, he saw improvement in this many categories. Yards improved, touchdown passes improved, touchdown percentage improved, passing first downs improved, success rate improved, yards per attempt improved, yards per completion, yards per game, passer rating, QBR, sack percentage. Everything improved for Caleb Williams under Ben Johnson. Now, a big part of that as well is that we actually had an offensive line that was able to block for him and keep his jersey clean. Oh, how a quarterback can actually do their job when they don't have to run for their life every single down, right? So when you look at it, he was great in year 2. Completion percentage aside for what that's made of it and the challenge that Ben Johnson laid out for him. But the thing with Caleb is that he improved in all those areas. If he can improve on the erratic throws, if his wide receivers also improve on the drops, those type of things, this is going to be a season where Caleb Williams may, like me saying All Pro or Pro Bowl, may just be that may be the floor for Caleb Williams this season. Caleb Williams may very well put together an MVP caliber season this year. That could very well happen. We could be talking about Caleb Williams being in the MVP conversation, whether he wins it or not, and having an actual chance to win that award. That is what we could be talking about for Caleb Williams this year. We heard that the command of the offense is better. His comfortability in the offense is better. Everything that you expect to hear in year 2 from a quarterback that has an offensive coordinator, offensive play caller, because he's not a coordinator. Ben Johnson's the head coach. When you have all those things that are lining up for you, you expect to see certain leaps. You expect to see certain jumps, and Caleb Williams looks primed to make that, and we'll see what that's going to bring for the team. And then the last guy that I'm going to talk about is a guy that actually, I'll say this, is a new Chicago Bear, and that's Devin Bush. Devin Bush is a guy that I think Dennis Allen, when you talk about speed, you talk about tackling, you talk about the ability to be used both in coverage and in the ability to get to the quarterback, Dennis Allen is going to try to extract every bit of every talent that Devin Bush did have. That, when you look at how it came together for him in the 2025 season, right? He had a career best year for the Cleveland Browns last year, right? He finished with 3 interceptions, 8 passes deflected, 125 total tackles, and 7 tackles for a loss. And then when you look at it as well, he had the best year in coverage of his career. He held quarterbacks with a passer rating of 64.2 when they targeted him and he was guarding in coverage. What does that mean? Dennis Allen is about to use Devin Bush all over the football field. And because of that and the performance that he had in 2025, Devin Bush may not be all pro, but he's probably definitely in line for a Pro Bowl season. I would say that, right? So when you look at also the 69.3 passer coverage rating that he had as well, that his emergence in that category and how it's continuing to grow and how Dennis Allen likes his backs to be able to perform in coverage, it's going to be a really big season for these guys, man. And I think, all these players that I just named, they're all in situations where it's going to benefit them. They are also going to be used to the best of their ability. And some could say, hey, Haize, you also missed out on some other guys, right? Like you didn't even say Colston Loveland. I think at this point, most people understand that Colston Loveland is on path to be one of the best tight ends in the game of football this year. So, take that. If you want a fourth one, Colston Loveland is probably also going to be an All-Pro this year, and he's going to earn that. He's going to run away with that one. So Colston Loveland, add him. So 4, there you go for that one. But it's going to be a big season. And a lot of what the Bears do are going to come down to having players at every level that whether they get Pro Bowl nod or not, but that play at some of the best levels at football. You need a guy like Joe Tooney. He's one of the best blockers in the game of football to go along with Darnell Wright as well, right? You're going to have that in that level. You're going to have your quarterback. You're going to have the two-headed monster in Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. You're going to have your wide receivers. Like, you're going to have that. So everything is coming together for this Bears team. All the practices is great to hear. It's great to hear the progression that players are making. It's great to hear that we're having gems again on this team. At the end of the day, though, it all comes down to what we show on the football field. And hopefully this Bears team continues to show that progress on the field as well, and not just speculative stuff here that we're talking about. But let me know down below, who are some Bears that you think are destined for either All-Pro or Pro Bowl this year. Who do you think can make their case this season? What do you think about the Bears and the luck that they're having with undrafted free agents, how Jayden Loving could be the next one with that, along with Jahdae Walker? And then also, what do you think about the return window for Kyle Monangai? Let me know what you guys think about all that down below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or live stream. You can follow us at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearcentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related. But that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.